Good evening, folks. Kent Hovind here and the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland. I forgot to look at what happened today. It is January the 5th, 2018, 21st century, Lady Di. January 5th, nothing happened. Yay. Okay, we're fine. Thank you for joining us. We're the folks who believe the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate, and the evolution theory is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the history of the world. And you're welcome to join us and send your comments in. If you curse or swear, just try to monopolize our channel. We'll just shut you off. This is for people who want to learn, not people who want to be stupid. Somebody said, I was teaching school one time, and one of the kids came running in and said, "Johnny's out in the hallway, he's acting stupid." I said, "That's not an act." And some of you making the comments, that's not an act, that's the real you. Okay, so January 26th, the Creation Seminar in Iowa. If you want to come, get the details off the website. If you want to donate any amount over 10 bucks, you can get one of our super duper Dinosaur Adventureland t-shirts with the patch on it. We also, if you come down and take a tour, what did I drop? Okay. You can get one of the patches and a certificate. I took the tour. Kevin came today. Did you see the size of that guy? Kevin that came to, yeah. Pro ball player, baseball player, came down. We had a great time taking the tour. Anyway, if you want to translate the seminar to Croatian, call Luke. He wants to pay to get that done. So call Luke on that. Congressman Trey Gowdy, we've been mentioning if you want to have him look at our case. Yes, drain the swamp, really drain the swamp, and kill all the snakes while you got it drained. Okay, go to Kent Hovind is Innocent. Kevin from Monroeville. We went to Monroeville Courthouse today. Have you been through that on that tour? You know, To Kill a Mockingbird, what's her name, wrote that. We were there today. Anyway, she grew up in Monroeville. It's the literary Harper. Lee Harper. Yeah. And Truman Capote. Anyway, so the courthouse that To Kill a Mockingbird, it wasn't actually filmed there, but they came and took a bunch of pictures and measured it and made the exact same set in Hollywood. So we took the tour today. It cost $5, and right here in Monroeville. I'd never been through it. Who cares? Anyway, Boudreaux and Thibodeau. Boudreaux needed to borrow 10 bucks. He went up. He says, "Hey, Thibodeau, can I borrow 10 bucks?" Thibodeau says, "Hey, I'm going deaf." He said, "Can I borrow 10 bucks?" He said, I'm going deaf. I can't hear you." So Boudreaux comes around the other side. He said, "Hey, Thibodeau, can I borrow 20 bucks?" Thibodeau said, "Come back around to that $10 ear for a minute." They're always making fun of me because I'm not completely deaf, or just mostly, okay. I do have a hard time hearing. I worked at General Motors at the factory, and they told us to wear hearing aids and, hearing protection, and I didn't. Anyway, project. If some of you cabinet makers want a project, you can do it from your place. I can do all this stuff, but I can't, if I stop what I'm doing. We had 240 birthday parties at Dinosaur Adventureland in 1 year. Parents would love that. They would come and bring a bunch of kids, kind of like Chuck E. Cheese does and stuff like that, only it was a Dinosaur Adventureland birthday party. Now, what we did there, we had picnic tables, but we were able to buy a whole bunch of the tables from Ryan's Steakhouse when they closed down, the tables and the chairs. There's these chairs sitting, these are all from Ryan's Steakhouse. Well, the tables were all restaurant tables, been used for a long time, and they were falling apart and delaminating and everything, and the edges falling off. So I got an idea. I want to get table tops, just the tops made. We've already got the heavy-duty cast iron legs. We can screw right on. You cabinet makers will know what I'm talking about. Just make it 1.5 inches thick. 1x12 pine, and then cross grain, 1x12 pine strips underneath, or 1x4 pine strips. So we want 5 sets of 4 matching tables with 1 large table. I'll show you. When I built the countertop for my house, we got the cabinets for free. That's the countertop in my kitchen where we just ate supper a few minutes ago. I built it for 120 bucks, I think, just 1x12 pine, and put a heart in the middle, just cut it out with a jigsaw, and we'd put the glaze over the top of it. All the corners are 45, and this is what I want on all the countertops. If somebody wants to make one and bring it down here to make them all. But these are going to be special, okay? So 45, just a piece of 1 by 1.5 inches or 3/4 by 1.5 inches, everything beveled and rounded so nobody can get hurt on it, and then glazed. These are the ones we got from Ryan's Steakhouse. But what I want to do is put a different type of dinosaur on each one before you put the glaze on. So that the 5-year-old kids that come for a birthday party, they can't read yet, they can say, "Oh, I'm at the brachiosaur party," and they know because all their tables have a brachiosaur on it. So you would have to cut out the shape of the brachiosaur and stick it on the table and then glaze over it. So we need at least 4 of the square ones, 36 inch roughly, and 1 long one to put the cake and stuff on. of each type. So there'll be 5 tables for the brachiosaur and 5 stegosaur tables and stuff like that. So if you want a project, you can do all that. If you want to donate it, we can give you a tax write-off for our ministry. And just next time you're coming by, bring just the tabletops, and we'll screw them on to the. We got a whole stack of those legs because the tables are particle board and they're falling apart. So this, you remember how we had all the dinosaur signs up, so the kids would say, "I'm at the plesiosaur birthday party," because a 5-year-old kid can't read yet. Speaking of signs, if you want to make a sign this way to Dinosaur Adventureland and put how many miles on it, Rhonda's already getting people sending in pictures of what they've done. So send it to secretary at drdino.com. Yeah. Or call 855-BIG-DINO extension 2, and you'll get Rhonda, and she'll tell you where to send it. Okay. But like they do for Wall Drugs, at middle of no place, and they get millions of visitors because everybody's advertising for them. The most creative sign by April 21st, the 2-year anniversary of us getting the property, will get the prize. 2 first places of $250 gift certificate to use in our bookstore. 2 second place, 2 third place. Okay, today we're going to pull 1 more weed and then plant some corn. We'll get into the Bible study. I know people say, some people say, oh, I love when you pull the weeds and love when you chase the rabbits, and other people say, don't do that. Just teach the Bible. The one that asked a congressman, are you going to vote for that bill or against it? He said, well, some of my friends are for it and some of my friends are against it. I'm just going to stick with my friends. Okay. Really brilliant idea. 1 more weed. Okay. A guy named Get Comfortable, I guess as he calls himself, 19 hours ago, he said, there's thousands of transitional fossils. What do you think a transitional fossil means? And somebody named N5KDA said, show us one. Get Comfortable said, Tiktaalik. Tiktaalik is how they pronounce it. Tiktaalik. Well, that was easy. Any other questions? And N5KDA wrote back, looks like a salamander to me. So what is Tiktaalik? This is their favorite new transitional fossil. Here it is, right here. Somebody found this in the dirt and dug it out and put it together and said, wow, we have proof for evolution. This fossil. Researchers have discovered well-preserved pelvis and partial pelvic fin. Oh, it was a fish type. It had a fin on it. From Tiktaalik rosea, a 375-million-year-old transitional species. So you got to look underneath to find the date when it was stamped, 375 million BC. Okay. It's a transitional species between fish and the first-legged animals. Hold it. You found a bone in the dirt, and you can prove that's a transitional between fish and animals on land.
It's a water dog.
Who knows, but which reveals that the evolution of hind legs actually began as enhanced fins. So the fins on this thing slowly turned into legs. All you have to do is imagine. It's real simple. Anybody that can't do that is missing the point. Tiktaalik is a monospecific genus of an extinct critter, the lobe-finned fish, okay, of the late Devonian period, having many features akin to those of tetrapods. Tetra means 4 on land, 4-footed creatures on land. Oh, so these fins were turning into legs. And you can tell that from the bones you found in the dirt. You just have to imagine. I mean, it's really that simple. Just imagine all these critters, they have to be related. Yeah.
They're water dogs. I sold them in Phoenix, Arizona.
You sold them in Phoenix?
They swim, then if they live long enough, they turn into salamanders.
Yeah, it's like a salamander. The only specimen blocks containing the front portion of Tiktaalik, however, have been described. As the researchers investigated additional blocks recovered from their expeditions to the dig site in northern Canada, they discovered the rear portion. Oh, they found the rear axle of the Tiktaalik. The fossils included the complete pelvis, whoa, of the original type specimen, making it possible to directly compare the front and rear appendages. Now we can look at the front fins and the back fins. The scientists were immediately struck by the pelvis. Hope it didn't hurt them too bad. Which was comparable to those of some early tetrapods. Oh, so the pelvis of the fish is comparable to a tetrapod. This is an amazing pelvis, particularly the hip socket. Now you got to understand, these guys who are doing this research and finding these things, this is how they get paid. They have to make it look important. If you spend all your time digging in the dirt finding a bone, you would want people to think what you're doing is important. Our dog used to do the same thing, and we didn't pay him anything. Spent all his time digging in the dirt looking for a bone. Anyway, it's very different. Of anything that we knew of in the lineage, this is brand new research. Send more money. We'll do another dig out there. Just imagine. Yep, you can tell the fins are turning into legs. Tiktaalik was a combination of primitive and advanced features. Here, not only were the features distinct, but they suggest an advanced function. Whoa, look at that hip socket. That suggests he's learning to walk. Wow, I never would have thought of that. They appear to have used the fin in a way that's more suggestive of the way a limb gets used. So by the hip socket, it looks like their fin was used the way an animal uses his arm or leg. Well, that's proof. Who couldn't see that? All you have to do is imagine. See, the whale and the humans and the lizards and the birds are all related to a common ancestor. And by the way, they mention, oh, Hovind, your textbooks are old. I got these off the internet 2 hours ago. This is 2018. Okay, this is still what they're teaching. The textbooks I used the other night are from Harvard and Princeton and UCal, and I got them off that day. That's still what they're using today. So forget the old textbook argument. This is still what they're using. Okay, textbooks say the Devonian period is when the lobe-finned fish slowly evolved out of the water and decided to walk on land. Okay. 325 million years old. This is lie number 4 in my videotape, Lies in the Textbooks. If you don't have those, get that one for anybody going to public school, or get that as part of the series, the whole creation series, on 18 hours for 50 bucks. Okay. The lobe-finned fish is not 325 million year old fossil. It's still alive today. They're swimming around the Indian Ocean. They catch them all over Madagascar. I mean, they're huge fish, but they do have a little arm before the fin. How can they be a transitional fossil? They're still alive. Lobe-finned fish are still swimming around. They're not a transitional fossil of anything. They certainly couldn't be an index fossil of anything. If they're still around, they could live in any layer. Hello, think about it for 5 minutes, okay? This lady wrote a book, A Fish Caught in Time. Oh yes, boys and girls, this is our own great uncle, 40 million times removed. Wow, just imagine. Going fishing in the Indian Ocean and catching Grandpa for lunch. Just imagine. You would have to have help to be that stupid. You couldn't do it on your own. But they say the bony fishes evolved into all these other ones. There's a coelacanth and the tetrapods, the 4-footed creatures. Oh, so a cow and a fish are related. I'm not making this up, folks. That's what they're teaching. But since apparently that's how you get government grants, I want to show you research I've been doing for decades without any government help at all. Piecing together the fragmentary evidence, I've been able to reconstruct the evolution of silverware. This took a lot of work because the fragments were it was busted up bad after the truck ran over it. I discovered that there's a whole variety of spoons out there. Now this one is slightly bigger, suggesting that it had a slightly different use. It was slowly evolving into a ladle or something. I'm not sure about that. I got more research on that one. This shows mass extinctions and millions of years of natural selection causing evolution to produce a new species. I knew I had the right order. Knife, spoon, erosion slowly cut grooves in the end and turned it into the short tine fork and then the long tine fork. This probably took about 17.24 million years and 3 weeks, okay? But I felt like I had a missing link. I was looking for it and studying and digging all over, looking for and the stewardess came by and handed it to me. Back in 1995, stewardess on US Air handed me this spork. I couldn't believe it. Now, this was a 3-tine spork. Later, I went to Popeye's Fried Chicken and found a 4-tine spork. Yeah. So now my evolution of silverware is becoming very complete. By the way, Moses, if you take a fork and you break off one of the tines, do you know what you call it? A threek. If you break another one off, it's a toque, and then a wonk, and then throw it away, okay? Now, many mutants did not survive over the years, okay? That's just too bad for them. It's survival of the fittest, you know, if you don't make it tough, okay? Now, many people, when they found out I was doing research on this, started sending me their finds. They knew I was looking for the fork evolution. They were hoping to become famous and get a fortune by helping me with my research. Many frauds, such as this obvious fork head on a spoon handle, I mean, anybody can see that, have been submitted as evidence, and this is a cutthroat business. This finding fossils is cutthroat, because there's only so many government grants, you know. Now, my highly trained scientific eye picked it up right away. I said, that is a fraud. That's a fake. Anyway, environmental pressures cause diverse species to evolve into superior and inferior races also. So we have the superior races of forks. Yeah. By the way, you can change one word and turn a cat to a cot, or one letter, and then turn it to a dot and a dog. You can play around with this, cat, cot, dot, dog, and eventually you can go to a can, car, tar, tab, and turn yourself into a fool. Yeah, it's real easy. Not hard at all. Okay, so let me point out the obvious about Tiktaalik, okay? It's dead. You can't prove it had any offspring. You sure can't prove it had different offspring. No animal today can produce anything other than its kind. It said it had having many features akin to those of tetrapods. That doesn't prove anything. Don't the Hondas have many features akin to the Toyotas and the Chevys and does that prove they're related? No, it's a good design. It works, okay? No animals today can produce anything other than their kind, and arranging fossils in some sort of order that you imagine is not proof of anything. That's not science. Okay, let's plant some corn. Exodus chapter 4. Let's pray. Lord, teach us from your word. Father, bless our ministry. Help us to reach out to the world and get many people converted to your family. Guide us now in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, and Moses answered and said, this is Moses giving his third excuse of why he don't want to go. God said, go down to Pharaoh and say, let my people go. Moses' his third excuse. But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice, for they will say, the Lord hath not appeared unto thee. The Lord said unto him, this is God's answer, what is that in thine hand? And he said, a rod. You know, it's interesting. You already have what you need to do something for God. Now, this is going to sound real crazy. Even if you have a lousy childhood and a bad experience growing up and you've had a rough life, that's what you need to reach somebody else for the Lord. 2 Corinthians chapter 1. God comforts us in all our tribulation so that we can comfort others, which are having the same trouble. I've been through some pretty rough experiences here in the last 49 years of being a Christian, especially the last 10 years. And God has already used that. I had several people call me today, crying on the phone because of some family problem, you know. I can sympathize with them. I've been there, done that, where I couldn't before. So if you've gone through a really tough time, you're broke, you're losing your house, you're losing everything, maybe God's preparing you to be a help to somebody else who needs that. Read 2 Corinthians chapter 1 very slowly. Maybe that's for you. So God said, Moses, what do you have in your hand? He said, I got this stick. It's all you need. Take the stick to Egypt. Let's get Pharaoh out of there. Right, Lord, I'm going to get him out of here with a stick. Okay, Pharaoh's going to be really impressed. God said, let my people go, or else I'm going to show you my stick. Okay. And God said, cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And the Lord said unto Moses, put forth thine hand and take it by the tail. This is important. Take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand. So his walking stick turned into a snake when he dropped it, and now it came back to a rod. This was a miraculous sign to show Pharaoh for the purpose of getting them out of Egypt. Now, after they were out of Egypt and across the Red Sea and Pharaoh's dead, the sign stopped. He didn't turn the stick into a snake every time he dropped it. The sign quit. It was over. The signs were for a particular purpose. Get my people out of Egypt. And I am a strong believer that the signs that Jesus gave to his early disciples have stopped. God can still do all of those miracles, raise the dead, speak with other languages. He can still do all that. Not a problem. But the purpose was the transition period until the New Testament was finished. And the New Testament church didn't have a New Testament. It was being written, so they had to have signs and wonders. Jews require a sign. Anyway, he said, do this, that they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob hath appeared unto thee. Moses, take this stick and drop it down. It'll turn to a snake. Pick it up by the tail. It'll turn back to a stick, so that the children can believe. See, the Jews require a sign. 1 Corinthians chapter 1. And the Greeks seek after wisdom. So back to chapter 4. And the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thy hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. Stick your hand in your coat. And when he took it out, behold, it was leprous as snow. Leprosy, the skin turned white. And he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, the snake, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take of the water of the river, and pour it upon the dry land, and the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land. So God's giving Moses 3 signs he can show to the children of Israel and to Pharaoh. And Moses said unto the Lord, excuse number 4, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue. Apparently something wrong with his ability to speak clearly. Maybe he was tongue-tied or something, I don't know. But he said, Lord, I can't speak clearly. And the Lord said unto him, answer number 4, Who hath made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb or deaf or the seeing or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth and teach thee what thou shalt say. So God answered every one of his objections until we get to number 5. And he said, Moses said, O my Lord, send, I pray thee, by the hand of him whom thou wilt send. Hey, Lord, send somebody else, is what he's saying here. I don't want to go. Moses, excuse, God said go, Moses said no. How many people are doing that? God's told you what to do, and you know where you ought to be, and you're not there. Making excuse after excuse after excuse. People do that all the time. Verse 14, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses. Finally, God said, that's enough, boy. And he said, is not Aaron the Levite thy brother? Aaron was 3 years older. His sister Miriam was 7 years older. I know that he can speak well. And also, behold, he cometh forth to meet thee. So God knew, God knows everything, Aaron was coming over there to meet Moses clear across the Sinai Peninsula into the mountain where he was. And when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart, and thou shalt speak unto him and put words in his mouth, and I will be with thy mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you what ye shall do. And he shall be thy spokesman unto the people, and he shall be, even he shall be to thee instead of a mouth, and thou shalt be to him instead of God. Okay, Moses, I'm going to answer your last excuse, bud. Take your brother, you speak to him, he'll speak to the people. Now, this was completely unnecessary, but God still put up with his idiosyncrasy. And you'll see as we read the rest of the book of Exodus, Aaron only spoke a couple times. Moses did all the talking anyway. Didn't need all that. And thou shalt take this rod in thine hand, wherewith thou shalt do signs. And that rod is featured all through the rest of the Bible. That Moses' walking stick. Not only turned into a snake, he touched the Red Sea and it parted. He touched the water and it turned into blood with the stick. They took all the walking sticks of everybody and put them together one time in the temple, and Aaron's bloomed and blossomed. We'll get into that later. Okay. And Moses went and returned to Jethro his father-in-law, and said unto him, Let me go, I pray thee, and return unto my brethren which are in Egypt. He's 80 years old, and he's asking his father-in-law's permission to go somewhere. I guess it's a respect and honor thing. Yeah. Kids, you never get too old to honor your parents, okay? Keep that in mind. And see whether they be yet alive. And Jethro said to Moses, Go in peace. And the Lord said unto Moses in Midian, Go return into Egypt, for all the men are dead which sought thy life. It's been 40 years. That warrant out for your arrest has expired. And Moses took his wife and his sons and set them on an ass, and he returned to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the rod of God in his hand. No, it's God's rod. Yeah. And if you take, you don't have to have much. But if you'll give it all to the Lord, he'll use it in a great way. One little boy came to Jesus one day and said, I don't have too much. I just got a sack lunch, 5 biscuits, 2 fish sticks. Here, Jesus, you can have my lunch. Jesus said, well, watch this, son. Sit down right there. Watch this. He kept making fish sandwiches out of that little bag or whatever they had and fed 5,000 men, plus women, plus children, plus that little boy. He probably got more back by giving it away than he would have by keeping it. It's that way with everything. It's been that way for me for 49 years of my Christian life. I just try to give it all to the Lord, and he just keeps blessing and blessing, okay? You can't outgive God, that's for sure. You get in a shoveling contest, you shovel something God's way, he's got a much bigger shovel than you do, okay? Much bigger. You got a dump truck, okay? He can bless you. And the Lord said unto Moses, when thou goest to return unto Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand, and I will harden his heart. This is a strange, controversial verse right here. If God hardened Pharaoh's heart, how could God blame Pharaoh for doing wrong and then send him to hell? We're going to see in the next several chapters, sometimes Pharaoh hardens his own heart, sometimes God hardens his heart. Well, we'll get into it when we get into that part, but if you put a lump of clay and a stick of butter out on the sidewalk under the hot sun, same sun, same temperature, same sidewalk, the clay gets hard and the butter melts. Isn't that strange? Completely different reaction. The same thing can happen to two people and they react so differently.
The substance.
It's what's inside. I don't know how. If somebody walks up and says, I'm going to give you $500. Whoa. Some people cry. Some people cheer. Some people say, okay, thanks. Different reactions for doing the same thing. Somebody says, oh, your dog died. Okay. No big deal. Other people, oh, the dog died. I like that movie, Saving Private Ryan. When he talks about, he finally finds a guy named Ryan, and he says, your brother died. Turns out it's the wrong Ryan, And he says, oh, my brother died. And he's crying. Finds out, well, how old's your brother? He's 5 years old. He's in elementary school or something like that. I watched too many movies, I guess. But he said, I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he shall not let the people go. Now, Moses has got to be thinking, why am I going? If Pharaoh's not going to listen, God, why are you sending me? I feel that way sometimes when I go to universities and do debates or answer the skeptics on the comments here. That they're not going to listen. No matter what you told them, they cannot hear you. Jesus had the same problem with the skeptics in his day. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Herodians, he just preached to them anyway. I know full well, all my stuff I just did on Tiktaalik, the stupid fish fossil, the skeptics who said this is evidence revolution, rather than say, oh, I'm sorry, Hovind, you're right. They're going to go find another one. It wouldn't matter if you answered every question, they're going to find another one. Peter Ruckman's book that he wrote on the errors in the King James Bible, errors in quotes, there are no errors. He said, now I've just answered about 400 supposed contradictions in the Bible at the end. He said, here's what's going to happen. You skeptics that don't want to believe the Bible anyway, rather than say, oh, you're right, you're going to go look for 400 more because you don't want to believe. You don't want it. Wouldn't matter what we did. I could answer every question the skeptics have, and it wouldn't matter. They'll just come up with more.
Willingly ignorant.
Willingly ignorant. Stupid on purpose. Okay? Anyway, and thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto thee, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn. Here's God explaining very carefully to Pharaoh, this is what's going to happen, bud. You let my son go, or I'm going to kill your son. Understand? Capiche, Pharaoh? You got the picture? This is what's going to happen. God has clearly laid out what's going to happen if you do certain sins. God has laid it out pretty clearly. You better follow what he says. Read the book and do it. Anyway, that's the end of chapter 4. We'll get into chapter 5 tomorrow. I'm going to try not to pull too many weeds and mostly stick on the Bible study. We got to get this finished. Steve, can you give us an update on the Woe series? What all's done? What's not done? I'm holding A, B, and C.
Yeah, D and E should be available for sale next week, and then they can buy it in a packet as well.
Okay, Part D and Part E.
Yeah.
This is from the What on Earth is About to Happen, and then the intro that's up on the internet. You're going to put that on a DVD.
Yes.
Okay, so there'll be a
Put it in the packet.
there'll be a package of 6 DVDs, and I don't know what the price is going to be. Get with the trustees on that and figure it out. But so you can get the Whoa 1 out of order, A, B, C, D, and E, and so by midweek,
Yeah,
by maybe next Wednesday, you'll be able to order
for sure by Wednesday.
part 1. Okay, good. Amen. Can they pre-order? Better not, huh?
No.
It'll confuse you girls. You girls are already confused, and you'll be even more confused. Okay, so wait till Wednesday and call in and say, can I get the 6 DVD pack? And if you want to get some of our other stuff, our seminar special messages, 13 of these special messages for $50. Some of these are so fun. Let's start a fire department, magic tricks and how to do them. Kids like that one. Anyway, get out there. See you later tomorrow. Bye. Oh, thumbs up. What else am I got to tell them? Like us, subscribe,
and push the bell.
and push the bell, and send money. Okay, bye.